Welcome, Carm Capriato, the Service Aftermarket Podcast Pioneer, with the gold standard of aftermarket business podcasts. Join me for Aftermarket Insights as we advance the aftermarket. And as always, know that you'll learn just one thing. Find us on your favorite podcast listening app and remarkableresults.biz or on my YouTube channel. ASTE 2023, Carm Capriato, Remarkable Results Radio. Hey, we're sponsored here by Dorman Training. So glad to have Dorman always as a key partner of ours. Scott Brown. Oh my. In the early days that I started, you came on the show a lot.
Yeah.
And then you got so busy, you became, in my mind, the ADAS guru of our industry. And probably just because you were so damn curious.
Well, that's a great word, curious. And that's one that I like to stay curious, right?
Yeah,
and
yeah.
I like to promote that too. Technicians should be curious. Even when you're dealing with a car problem or whatever, you need to vet that service information and stay curious. So, but yeah, the ADAS stuff, I started studying this stuff a long time ago. I bought a car in 2012 that had level 0 on it. And I took the camera out of that car to try to figure out who made it, who made the chips or whatever. Didn't really get a lot of information, but over the years, it's becoming more focused. And I tried to figure out really what's going on behind the scenes, right?
Yeah.
How is that computer vision actually working?
I got to tell you, when I saw you do what the camera sees and the infrareds, and I think you set up a phony deer or you put some stuff up, and I was fascinated by the geek you have inside of you that says, I'm going to pull this camera out and we're going to set it up on this table and we're going to do some stuff. Where can people go and see some of that early stuff?
Yeah, so they can go to YouTube and just type my name in.
Scott Brown?
Yep. And type in like ADAS or neural networks.
Yeah.
And because that's really where I started to take a deep dive. I could not see when you go to calibrate and it fails to calibrate. You don't know why.
Right.
I wanted to know more. So I built this development kit, this little AI development kit that NVIDIA sells. And then you can add parts to it. And then you can basically install open source software and run these computer vision programs. These are the same base programs that the OEMs start with, or the OEMs vendors. They add on to that because you've got elementary things like pose detection, right? And pose detection is basically detecting the human elements, right? The joints. It knows the right side of the body, left side of the body, where it's positioned, where it's headed. And then we've got training on objects or object detection and then classification. And it's just like what we have to learn as humans, right? When we're young, we need to learn, hey, that's a horse, that's a dog, that's a fire hydrant. We have to teach that to the cars, right? So the cars can make sense of the environment out in the world. And today it's advanced so far. I mean, it's remarkable to see what is actually transpiring here. The technology with the hardware and then the software that can run and produce results. It's crazy.
I'm going to ask you curious questions because I am a perpetual student too. And I'm so fascinated by your uncovering stuff. I'm sitting here saying, how many times per second? How do we get all this detection to work through the software? How good is it? What kind of computer power do we need? And will level 5 ever work someday?
Yeah, level 5, I have a colleague that actually works for NVIDIA and he works on this kind of stuff. And I've tried to ask him questions and he's, of course, prohibited.
I can't talk about it.
Yeah, can't tell me much. But he's told me that the computing power and some of the hardware needed to where they want to be
isn't available?
Doesn't exist yet.
Oh, wow.
Okay. But the refinement on how these neural networks are working and how to understand the volumetric space in front of the vehicle. With our 2 eyes, we can kind of estimate, I can see over there in the corner how that wall is shaped. I can possibly estimate how far away that is, but these cameras can now estimate that down to inside of a micrometers.
The cameras without radar, LiDAR?
Without, yes.
Wow.
Yeah, actually what's really happened here recently is in 2022, Honda was able to install a new technology camera in their windshield and remove the radar sensor from that car. And that car has as good as or better capabilities than the previous year that had both a camera and a radar sensor in it.
Scary.
Yeah, it is scary, but it's really fascinating to see this because think of the cost savings for that manufacturer. By able to delete a radar sensor, combine all of those functions into one device, it's absolutely amazing.
The camera is going to help with cruise too?
Cruise control, yeah. Cruise control,
Adaptive cruise, right?
Adaptive cruise, pedestrian detection, automated emergency braking, lane keeping, all of that stuff is handled through that single camera. And that camera, it's built by Mobileye, which is an Intel company. I actually bought one of those cameras used through, I took it apart, I started studying it, I measured the camera sensor, and I compared it to some others. And I'm going to be presenting that tomorrow morning.
Here at ASTE.
Yes, I've got some high resolution slides that show this technology. And I actually had a 2024 Toyota come in, or actually a Lexus come in the other day, friend of ours. And I asked him if I could probe around a little bit. I believe it has the same camera technology in it. And with Toyota, we have the factory software. I was able to read some pixel dimensions, and I'm going to be sharing that and show the contrast between what that's capable of and what we had just 2 years ago. And it's, just you look at the technology leap that's happening in front of us, and it's absolutely amazing.
I wonder if the students that will be in your class are going to appreciate your passion, what you did to present this the freshest ever kind of training. And they're probably taking your class because they want to know more. They know it's a real part of us moving forward. And we could be great specialty shops, but do you see that ADAS will become a super specialty to Diag?
One of the things that's caused me to change a little bit of focus here is that I've discovered over the years when I'm interacting with technicians, when I ask them about the ADAS stuff, right? Hey, what do you know about that camera and how it works? And what do you know about the radar? I seem to get this sense that most people don't have a lot of respect for these systems because they may have driven an early car that didn't have good capability. The operation just it felt clunky. So they had them tell me, oh yeah, my wife has that on our car. Every time I drive it, I just shut it off. And I'm going, probably need to understand a little bit more about it and make sure that you know how it can actually help you. But more importantly, there's a lot more going on. When they say they don't use it for the lane keeping, that camera may have other responsibilities that help to support that car and keep that active safety systems, all of the active safety systems working properly. So showing pose detection and all of those visuals that I try to show, I want to make sure that people understand that, hey, there is more going on with it. And hopefully that will then transpose their attitude and want to keep that stuff working properly.
You're saving people's lives with this story, with the training that you're doing.
Yeah.
Because here's the deal. It was, and Tracy, she's here in the studio with it. She's producing. She says to me, Dad, all this stuff, it's killing me. It's going crazy, left, right, arrows, and all this stuff in the Rogue that she has. And I said, honey, do me a favor. I hear it from all my friends in the industry. Mm-hmm. Don't turn it off.
Yeah.
And so she didn't. And then what happened, Trace?
Now I'm so used to it that if I drive a car that doesn't have the lane assist, I'm a lazy driver.
Yeah.
Because I've relied on it so much. But yes, I had come to Carm and I said, so I have my new car. I'm really excited about it. But how do I turn that beeping off? Drives me nuts. And he said the same thing.
No.
And he's like, just a couple weeks, just see. It's there for a reason. And so I am now so used to it that when I drive someone else's car, I'm like, whoa, I need to sharpen up here.
Yeah, it is amazing. I'm driving a 5-year-old car, that I bought brand new. And it's a Tesla Model 3.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And that car has a radar sensor on the front, but Tesla no longer uses that radar sensor because they found out that their vision system supersedes what the radar can provide. They claim that the radar provides too much noise, meaning that it's false detections and that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
They've gone to strictly vision. Now, the other interesting thing, another slide tomorrow that you'll see, that at the beginning of this year, Tesla has rolled out this new hardware. They've removed one of the cameras and they've added this new high definition radar that hasn't even been developed yet for the software to use it. So it's on the vehicles, but it's not deployed yet internally. So there's a lot of things moving out there and it's absolutely amazing.
Hey, it's no secret. We're facing a technician shortage, and Napa Auto Care has a solution with the Napa Auto Care Apprentice Program. The program was pioneered by one of our own. Pete McNeil and Master Technician Jeg Sorensen from McNeil's Auto Care in Sandy, Utah, realized that the problem of not having technicians available for hire was not going to solve itself and decided to take action and look at a different audience of individuals available for hire. A focus was put on younger individuals with the right passion, desire, and attitude to work in the automotive repair industry. Jake and Pete sought after these individuals and developed a technician apprentice program to give them the training needed to become a successful technician in today's world. The Napa Auto Care Apprentice Program includes a comprehensive 9-stage curriculum that includes a variety of types of training, and they are classroom training videos exclusive to the apprentice program. Now, these videos provide in-depth training from a successful master technician. Also, Autotech classes with instructor-led courses offered through Napa Autotech and Autotech e-learning. This web-based e-learning is designed to target specific training topics. And finally, hands-on learning. The apprentice will apply the skills gained from the classroom training videos, Autotech instructor-led training, and Autotech e-learnings in the shop with the guidance of a mentor. The apprentice program curriculum is competency-based, meaning an apprentice can move through each stage at a pace that best suits them. Most apprentices complete the program within 2 years. Upon completion, apprentices will have earned ASE G1, A4, A5, and AC certifications, adding industry validation to the skills an apprentice acquires. Look, having an apprentice in your shop will ultimately benefit your bottom line as they advance through the program. And in most cases, as the apprentice develops their skill set producing billable hours, you'll begin to see a growth in your gross profit by stage 5. One of the largest barriers to entry for individuals looking to enter the automotive repair industry is the cost of tools. Now, keep your apprentice motivated with an apprentice toolkit. Now, Napa Auto Care has worked with our supplying partners to offer an exclusive comprehensive tool set, including a 4-drawer tool cart for all registered apprentices. Hey, to learn more, members can visit member.napaautocare.com. So I sit back and think that technology is moving so fast. And if we don't make a commitment to go to training seminars like ASTE and all the stuff that you do in the industry, we're going to be so far behind. Okay, that's my little soapbox.
Yeah.
You're here listening to Scott Brown only because, in my mind, he's our industry's ADAS expert. And when I saw Scott at the registration table today, I got to have you in the studio. He's so kind to open up his schedule to come in here. And he goes, "Oh, I wrote a textbook with 2 other guys on ADAS." And so he brought it. We're going to talk about that in a few minutes. Diag.Net, Diagnostic Network.
Mm-hmm.
This is your baby. So if you're in it, you're listening to the voice of the master here. So you write articles, you're doing all kinds of things. I know you're doing podcast stuff. I know you're doing all kinds of videos. You're all world when it comes to, I think, everything technology-wise but ADAS. So kudos to you. Thanks for coming on. I remember a bunch of years ago, I went to a seminar. There was a car inside of a ballroom, and they were doing an ADAS calibration. And I decided as a guy from the media to hang in there and watch what was going on. And when it was all done and they put the plumb bobs and they were measuring everything, I said, what if we took that cone up front? What do they call that? Triangular?
Trihedral.
Trihedral. Thank you very much. And I says, what if we move it 3 inches back? What will happen?
Mm-hmm.
And the car calibrated.
Yeah.
So I think to your point, that forward-facing radar may not be as perfect. Do you think the whole camera thing is going to change ADAS calibration too?
Yeah, I think there's a lot of talk and strategy, and it's really got to be tough for an OEM to develop because it takes them usually a couple, 3 years to say, hey, this is the way we're going to go. And then they refine it and then get it into production. But technology is moving so quickly that by the time they get that decision to production, the tech has leaped so far forward that the capabilities have now exceeded what they built, right? So they can now move to this new stuff and it supersedes everything else that they're doing. So as far as radar goes, I've seen some pretty valuable things happening with that. Some manufacturers use multiple radar sensors. And yeah, it's dependent on how they're developing the car and the perception systems to actually deliver that customer experience and taking care of their operation.
So if I'm a technician and I'm a disciple of yours and I go to every training that I could get, watch all your stuff, will I start realizing that my diagnostic capabilities, my skills of doing ADAS calibrations is going to be generational? As you say, they develop it, they put it into production 3 years, and during that 3 years, technology is so that somebody's going to have to say, oh, what year vehicle is this? There's a whole new way to do this, whole new way to think of this, whole new way to calibrate this. So is calibration, static, dynamic, all that stuff that people all want to know? Should I invest? Should I train?
Yeah, I would say that one, if you're in this business and you're a professional and you want to gain customer trust, these systems are on the cars, right? So typically I'm in the aftermarket space, right? I have a shop.
Yeah.
And we get new cars in all the time to do regular services. And so we're inspecting these systems to make sure that everything's fine, checking DTCs and that kind of stuff. But we're finding some things here that are popping up, some regular service things like the windshield gets dirty underneath. But to go back to your point, the technician, yes, they should always, again, like remain curious, have a handle on how this technology is evolving so that they're prepared and they understand that, hey, you know what? We used to do it, the calibration this way on this car. This is the only way you could calibrate it. And now you look at a modern Toyota or Lexus platform, they give you 3 options. They give you a 3-time or sequential recognition target for the camera. They give you a 1-time recognition target, or they give you a dynamic calibration option. And you can do either of those to satisfy a calibration. And that gives the baseline, right? And then the car is continuously calibrating as it's driving down the road, and it's understanding the certain data metrics out in front of the car to kind of understand where we're at. You may have ride height sensing operations on that vehicle to understand that, hey, the car is loaded, right?
Yeah.
Somebody's added a bunch of luggage. We've got 4 people in the car. Now the attitudinal state of the vehicle is changed. And not only for the camera, but we've got advanced headlight systems now that basically auto level.
Yeah.
That those all participate in that advanced driver assistance system and active safety system. So we as professionals delivering service on modern vehicles should have a deep understanding of this and know you should always reference service information and make sure that you're following the proper procedures so that you're putting that vehicle back into service and it has the same capabilities that it was designed to deliver.
Think about the future of vehicles that are coming out and the requirements of ADAS calibration today, the size, the length, the lighting. Is that going to change?
Probably. I mean, the distance, when you're doing static calibration, some of the way that they provide that service, that usually comes through the vendor, right? The tier 1 provider for the, say, the camera system.
Yeah.
They work with the OEM to come up with what kind of service needs are we going to have. And sometimes it's well thought out. They simplify the process. Sometimes it's like, wow, I've calibrated cars and I'm going, wow, I've never had to do this before. It's the target is so far back. So the added space that I need with the level floor is pretty demanding. And in some cases, some shops are unable to actually perform that task. So They may pose a level of friction and make it difficult for a shop to cover every single vehicle. So whether that's going to change or standardize, I know that there's some industry groups out there that are trying to push for some sort of standardization, which probably will, I mean, that may be helpful. I think we'll probably go to more, and this came from my NVIDIA friend. He says the more cameras or sensors that they add to the car, the easier it is for them to do dynamic calibrations. So you start to see the cameras come on board, and I think we're going to see probably more dynamic style calibration.
We rented an Edge, unbelievable camera on that car, a 2023 Edge.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm driving a 2012 something at home.
With an okay camera, yeah.
And
1 year might be a generational change, right?
Yeah. I only have one ADAS feature on my vehicle. It's, wow, I just totally lost it. Beeps when somebody's next to me.
The blind spot.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
blind spot.
Yeah.
Blind spot. And I love my blind spot. It doesn't beep though. The lights just light up.
Well, you have more than one. You have a backup camera, right? So
I do have a backup camera.
Backup cameras were mandated back in May of 2018.
Yeah.
And that has reduced backing. There have been lives saved because of that. And it's amazing. I mean, so when the federal government comes after you and says, oh, you got to do this, and usually people are skeptical. Oh, the government's here to help me. Good. Yeah, right.
For the government.
Sometimes they hit it. These are things that are actually making an impact, and it's amazing. But, there's some other shortcomings out there, but we as service professionals need to basically stay in tune with what's happening with our vehicle technology part. And here's the other thing that I'm trying to push. The more of an expert you become on these systems, the more able you are to have an intelligent conversation with your clients. I've had multiple conversations with our clients explaining to them about their ADAS system because let's face it, when they go to buy that car, they're not onboarded properly. They're given the car. The salesperson may give them a little bit of instruction, but it could be wrong. And really, they need to go read their owner's manual. But I'm thinking I'm going to develop a public-facing clinic to introduce some of this technology. I've taken customers on road tests and showed them some of the capabilities, and they're going, wow, I didn't even know it did that. That's amazing.
Yeah. You're so right. So let's commit to the industry to have a quarterly session. We want to encourage people when they buy a new car not to forget about us that they had taken that previous car to for all those years, and that you don't necessarily have to go to the dealer. But when they learn what you can teach them about their capabilities on their car, they're still going to love and trust you.
Yeah, you're generating the trust. That's my big point.
Yeah.
You're building credibility.
Right.
Now that customer, they're going to have a good experience.
Yeah.
And what do? They usually will talk to one of their friends. If one of their friends starts complaining about, oh, my car's always beeping, and they'll say, oh, go down there and see Scott at Connie and Dick's. He'll explain it to you.
Exactly right. And the thing I love about that 6 degrees of separation and the people that know each other and the bragging rights that people get is I go to dinner with friends every Friday night. And it's amazing of the stories that you hear. I had a good experience here. Imagine I was at Connie and Dick's, my service center. I bought this new car. Well, you don't have to take it there for too long, but no, they taught me all about the technology on my car. I have this and it does this and it saves me from that and on. You can't pay for exposure like that.
Mm-hmm.
So you help somebody and now they're out telling your story.
Yeah, that just triggered another memory here. We had a customer that came in. We had to do a tire on a brand new Subaru. Okay. And so I'm walking around the car and talking to the client, an older gentleman. And I said, hey, this has the eyesight system. I said, hey, do you know that this thing has adaptive cruise control? It has automated emergency braking. They can do all this without a radar sensor in the front of the car. First thing he tells me, he says, oh, I don't use cruise control anymore. I go, well, why? He goes, there's too many cars on the road. And when a car gets in front of me, I got to slow down and all that. I go, the system will automatically do that for you now. That's what it's all about. It's adaptive cruise control. And he looked at me and said, what? He didn't know that he even had that capability on his vehicle.
Shame on our dealers.
It's amazing.
Shame on them for not. I mean, I remember buying the car. Says, hey, let me show you about your XM radio, but nothing else.
Mm-hmm.
It was almost about the infotainment system rather than the safety systems.
Yep. Yeah.
So you have nothing better to do than to write a book.
Well, the book, let me tell you about the book. Yeah. So there's 3 authors, myself and Steve Zach. He came from Bosch. He's got a title as an engineer. He did a lot of training and he did an event. I don't know if you were at this event. It was up in Detroit where Donnie Cipher pulled together this technology thing.
Yes.
And we were out in the parking lot doing some ADAS stuff.
That's right.
Yeah.
I remember that.
Yeah. So that's Steve. And then the other gentleman is Kurt Shadbolt. And he's a professor up at Chabot College. He's in the Silicon Valley area. And I met Kurt probably about 4 or 5 years ago at another conference, and he was teaching some ADAS, and I talked to him after the class, and I said, hey, I've been doing a lot of this and that. And so we kept in touch and started working together. He got me hired by the state of California to do a whole bunch of train the trainer stuff up in the Bay Area and throughout the state. And he contacted me about 1.5 years ago and said, hey, I've been putting all this stuff together to try to teach ADAS in my class because there is no curriculum, no textbook. And I was approached by this company called GW, Goodhart Wilcox. And he says, oh, by the way, this gal that's working there, her name is Erin Brennan. And I said, yeah, I know Erin. And he goes, well, they want to commission a textbook, an ADAS textbook. Would you be willing to help? And I said, heck yeah.
Oh, in my wheelhouse.
Yeah. So he had a lot of the text and instruction and stuff already kind of figured out. And then for the last 1.5 years, we've been working strong on this book. We finished it probably June of this year, putting some final pieces on it in July. And there's also some digital content that goes with it. So I've been doing a bunch of videos.
Wow.
So there's a bunch of videos that supplement this that go with the instruction for the schools to pick up. It also comes with a bunch of PowerPoints and other digital assets. The book is also available digitally. They can get it in I think it's a PDF or something that goes into their learning management system at the colleges.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been, I mean, this was a lot of
labor
work, but
of love.
It was also very fun. Oh yeah.
Oh, I bet
it
you.
was super
Hold up
fun.
the book to the camera here. There it is.
So
Perfect.
that's the book.
And, I'm an advisory member of our local college in Buffalo. I talk about that a lot. I cannot wait to go back to our next meeting, which I think is in a few weeks, and say, do I have something cool for you? And we are going to put a picture of that. I mean, you have anyone buy this if they want?
Yeah, they can go to Goodhart Wilcox website. I'll get you the link so you can put it in the show notes.
That would be great.
And they can go out and buy the book now. They sent me 10 copies, and I gave all of my employees a copy.
Neat.
Okay. And then I gave actually the company that I have, Connie and Dick's.
Yeah.
Conrad Nelson. He's 92 years old.
No.
And I gave him a book because it has our company name in there.
Did you sign it?
And I didn't sign it. I probably better.
Come on, you're going to be a best-selling author soon.
Yeah. So anyways, I'm really proud of this. This is pretty cool.
Good for you.
I only had one copy left to bring to this show.
Yeah.
And so in 2 weeks, I'm going to be teaching at the California Automotive Teachers Conference at Pierce College outside of Los Angeles. GW's shipping me a box of these. They want me to sign so that they can distribute them at the show.
This is the way for the reinvention of our curriculums this may be the book that starts that off. Because there's some really aggressive colleges. I mean, our school is going through a curriculum change, and they really did some unbelievable revamping of it. But I'm positive there's no ADAS book in it. And if it is, it could be fundamentals. And this thing, I didn't even have a chance to flip through it, but you were showing Tracy. I mean, this thing has got pictures and graphs. It is not just all textbooky.
No, we've got scope patterns in there letting you know what CAN-FD looks like and Ethernet and CAN bus. And there's a bunch of imaging that I did in here, some stuff off my Tesla, because I have some special hardware on my car that I can actually get what Elon Musk calls the mind of car. It's what the car sees, and then it's basically trying to translate that environment. And it's pretty fascinating. But there's some pictures in the book that show the actual video out the front and then what the computer thinks of the environment.
I am not surprised that Scott Brown would have some special hardware on his car.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah, it's fun. I mean, it's a passion of mine. See, when you're helping people, we're not only helping our customers maintain their mobility and their active safety systems in their car, but I'm helping the next generation of technicians. I've got apprentices in my shop working that have been there one's been there a little over a year. Another one's been there for 6 months. They have been doing ADAS calibrations. And I ask them all the time, I said, how many of your co-students are working in a shop and doing ADAS calibrations? And the obvious answer is 0. But these guys are guy and gal, are getting an opportunity, and I hope that they're going to be long-term employees of mine. Yeah. But they're getting some foundational knowledge and some experience, some real-world experience, and understanding how things work and how to service them and put them back together.
You are bringing geeky stuff to the geeks. I mean, nobody's rebuilding engines or calipers anymore. It was great. Somebody said, he said, we got this rebuilding caliper program in the college and it's in the lab.
Yeah.
No. Anyway.
Some of the foundational knowledge is good, but technology is evolving and it's exciting. These students, that go to these programs and they learn about this stuff, that may open up other opportunities, right? Not only can they be a technician, but maybe they become a field service engineer.
Yeah.
There was a guy in the hallway that came up to me just a little bit ago. I can't remember his name, but he is a field service engineer for Toyota. And he said he met me at this show a couple years ago. And so we started talking a little bit about some of the pain points that they run into, but he was a technician. Now he's got a corporate job, but he still has his hands in the technical side, but he's doing what he loves to do and he's having fun.
I got to tell you this. We appreciate you and your tenacity for being curious and being a perpetual student. It's almost like you're a tech entrepreneur for all that you've done to teach and to help people and then to help create this book. I mean, you're this giving person so that other people can learn and earn.
Yeah. What's the other cool thing I'd like to state is that we're working on, I have a workshop, right? I'm in my workshop every day, and I'm getting a constant feed of technology that comes into the shop. And it's like, wow, this is really cool stuff, because it's like the gift that keeps on giving.
Right.
And it keeps me very curious. And I'm so happy that I chose this career, this pathway. People may say, oh, you're just a mechanic. Well, it's a little bit more than that, right?
Oh boy. Yeah. I can see the sign out in front of your shop. It says, bring me your 2024 newest car. I want to tear it apart.
Yeah, we can't quite phrase it that way. But yeah, that 2024 Toyota, or the Lexus, actually, all the Lexuses, you remember when they were having that runaway throttle issue way back a decade or so ago? Yeah. I believe it was shortly after that. That event may have triggered what Toyota corporate did. They now have this thing called vehicle control history, and then they have what's called records of behavior. Okay. And so these different modules can see events that happen in the car, whether they're hitting the throttle hard or braking hard, going around a corner, and it may record some data that might be useful for a technician to go and look at. Well, now with the ADAS and the higher feature vehicles, it now will record, if suitable, it will record some of the video out of the front of the car, and the technician can get that data. And so I was showing my client with the 2024 Lexus, we pulled some stuff out of the car, and I showed him this video sequence, and he goes, I'm not sure what that is. And so we played it back, and I showed him how quickly he went around this corner. It was about a half a G or something. And he goes, oh yeah, I was getting on the freeway. And actually what happened as he was getting on, coming around the corner, the system detected something, and it basically backed off. It pulled the torque off the vehicle, and then he had to like hit it to get it to go. And that's what triggered this thing. So, but anyways, fascinating to see that kind of material coming out of an automobile. And it's,
I'm sorry, is that an invasion? I mean, insurance company says, we want to see that video. We want a replay on that. I mean, will that ever get that deep, you think?
Oh, it will. That you can actually produce a report. If you hit a print button, it produces a PDF that is a legal document. It has a full-on glossary. Every acronym has a description. It has all the technical features, and it basically could become a court item. Now, to answer your question about privacy, when you open the owner's manual, it says this vehicle is capable of doing this. If you do not want that happening, you need to visit your dealer so they can turn that feature off. And of course, we can turn it off with the text stream as well. But my customer, he said, well, he says, should I turn that off? I go, hey, this thing could actually help you. What if you get in a collision and it's somebody else caused the collision? You could pull all that data out and prove that you were not in the wrong.
Okay. You got me thinking about the EULA, the end user license agreement.
Yeah.
And it says, okay, I got to go and tell them to turn it off. I'm sure I've got to sign some documents that say that.
Probably.
And if not, when I buy the car, and I haven't bought one in a long time, a new one, do I have to sign any agreement that says I'm willing unless I'm unwilling?
If you sign something, it probably had that included.
It's probably there.
So did you bring your attorney with you when you bought that car so that they could review that document?
I know. Let me see the fine print. I'll be here for 4 hours.
Right.
And then I still won't understand what I signed.
Exactly. Right. It could be argued either way. Right. So,
all right.
I mean, it's
so we have to be cognizant of that, that you're gaining weight. It knows all this stuff.
Well, we've got internal cameras now that are watching what the driver's behavior, and detection system can see where the eyeballs are headed. So if they're looking, it's looking like they're playing on their phone or something, it'll say, hey, get your eyes back on the road.
And it'll tell you that?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I didn't know that.
It happened to me in the Tesla, by the way, when I first
I
got this new level of full self-drive, and I was trying to film the screen with my camera. And it kept telling me, put your hands on the wheel, put your hands on the wheel. And I had my left hand and I was giving it some inverse torque, and it kept telling me that. And I put the camera down, put my other hand on there, and the message went away. So
back in the day, and I had a bench seat. I remember when I was courting Ann, she sat next to me.
Mm-hmm.
That was a thing back then, Scott,
on a bench
right?
seat, yeah. And there were no seatbelts, right?
That was a thing. You pull up behind a car and you see two heads close together, right?
Yeah.
And you see nobody in the passenger seat. You know that they must be friends.
Yeah, they're close friends.
I totally love it. Anyway, thank you so much for your wisdom and all the things that you're doing. And I just hope that book gets everywhere and that you never ever stop being curious, Scott Brown.
Hey, thank you very much for having me, Carm.
Thanks, man.
Bye.